5th episode of the Lovebird Lane podcast. My name is Julianne and I am your host, and I'd like to welcome you all to this week's podcast. If you are a new viewer, welcome. We are so pleased to have you. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I really love seeing all of your comments, and a lot of you are giving me a thumbs up, so that's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. And I'm already itchy and awkward. I thought before I go on with the podcast, I might address what is going on top of my head, because, you know, otherwise it's just going to be the elephant in the room that you're all going to be wondering about. So pretty much you know that it has been hot here. I've said that on probably my last two podcasts, that it's been very hot here in Adelaide in Australia, and today is actually quite cool. Looking out there now, it's very overcast. It's only 25 degrees Celsius, I think is the forecast for today. Yesterday was 36, so it's quite a bit of a difference. Anyway, I don't think I mentioned it, but if you remember, I had like a faux hawk cut into my hair. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw it. Anyway, I went to book in because I don't really want to, pay to get my hair cut more than once every 6 weeks, just to try and keep the costs down a little bit, because it's not cheap to get a woman's haircut around here. And so I went to book in, and the lady at the hairdresser's said that my particular hairdresser, who I requested, actually had knee surgery and wouldn't be in for 3 weeks. So I already had overgrown hair because it was 6 weeks, and then they were telling me I'd have to wait for another 3 weeks to be able to get in to get my hair cut. Anyway, last week was very hot. We had another mini heat wave, and although I don't know whether it actually qualified as a full heat wave, unsure. But we had another heat wave, and I was kind of beside myself because, as you saw in last week's podcast, I had to clip back the front of my hair, and I just hated that. And I was hot, and I was sick of my hair, and something that's always been on my bucket list is actually to shave my head. So I shaved Simon's head last week. He had a haircut, and I basically did my cleaning shift last Friday afternoon and came home, and I said, I am so hot. I am like, my hair is full of sweat. Let's shave my head. So that's what we did. We initially did a number 4, then that was too long, so we went down to a number 2. And then last night I actually did a number 1. So it's very short. And I have been watching another new YouTube channel, and she bleaches her, she's a baldy, and she bleaches her hair. So I thought I would give that a go because I had a pack of bleach around. So I did that, and I hated it. Literally, I looked like I was bald. I looked like I had no hair with the bleach. So I have stuck some Arctic Fox in it. This is their virgin pink colorway. And yes, so I'll be rocking this until it grows out. I'm thinking in future, I'm really loving the shorn hair. So I am thinking in future perhaps I will dye it darker, just so it looks like I actually have hair. But yeah, I've got pink for the moment. So that's the quick explanation of what is going on. Simon and I did film him cutting my hair, so I will be putting that on my second channel, which I have decided to call Julianne Elizabeth because that is my first and second name, and you can find that now. I'm unsure as to whether you can subscribe as yet because there are no videos, there's no content on there yet. So once I put up my video of my shaved head, you should be able to go over there and subscribe. I will be editing that video today along with this one, and I'm going to be recording a nearly 1 week follow-up on having a shaved head right after I record this one. So that one should be up on my second channel shortly as well. Okay, so that's out of the way. We know why my hair looks like this, and now I can get on to some crafting. So I have a few things to talk about this week. I have more to talk about, and I guess I will get on with that now. So I have a couple of partially finished projects. I have a hoe and I have a scarf that just needs some finishing done to it. So to begin with, I have Simon's first chroma twist sock. So if you remember, I already showed off my first sock because I'm doing them kind of in tandem. I'm doing 2 pairs of socks, one after, one of mine, one of Simon's, one of mine, one of Simon's. So I've finished Simon's first sock. And this is the Knit Picks Chroma Twist colour yarn, which in fingering, which is no longer available. You can only get it in worsted, I believe. And this is the Sandpiper colourway. So it's like a blue, grey, I think there's like sort of a little greeny kind of tone in there as well. Yeah, and I'm still loving this yarn. It's still lovely. I'm actually experimenting with these socks is doing knitting them on a smaller needle size. So these are kind of experiments, and it turns out they do fit, so that's good. I've done the same stitch count, and I'm doing them on a 2.25 needle instead of a 2.5, which is my usual go-to needle. And the reason for this is that I have kind of been finding that when I wear my hand knit socks, they're nice when they go on, but then after wearing they stretch out a lot and they slip in my shoes and things like that. So I'm thinking that perhaps a slightly tighter gauge might be better for that. So these socks are kind of an experiment, and because Simon and I have exactly the same size feet, essentially we wear the same size socks, I'm doing them all the same. So I'll see what he thinks and see what I think once they're all finished and we get to wear them when it gets a little bit cooler. And then I guess I will update my vanilla socks a la Lovebird Lane pattern on Ravelry with my new needle size and gauge if I do decide to change how I knit my socks. But yeah, that is pretty much that. I have cast on another sock, but it's not one of these, and basically it's leftovers from my first 2 balls of velveteen from my No Frills sweater, which I will be showing you in a minute. I did not bring the new start to the sock because it's literally just a little cuff. And nothing will happen on those until I finish knitting the sleeves on my No Frills. So I can show you my other mostly finished object right now. So my next mostly finished object is my scarf that I had on the loom. So it is off, it is finished, the weaving is finished. It is quite long. I think it's going to be a very wearable size, so it's quite long. I think Jackie is going to like it a lot. It's not blocked. I haven't given it a wash or anything yet because I want to twist my ends first. So I haven't done that yet. So I haven't haven't trimmed my ends yet. It's literally just as I've pulled it off the loom. And then I bought myself a little while back an Ashford what do they call it? Twister, like the twisty thing. It's over there. So yeah, this is my this was woven out of Lorna's laces, which was the warp, and the weft, which is a cross, is Wool and Vine Yarns in her Luft lace base, which she does not have anymore, and in Faerie hair. So I should probably show you the side that doesn't have all of the woven ends. Oh, I did have it on the right side. It was the shadow that I was seeing. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. It's a little bit iffy because if you recall, I did speak about how I warped it a different way. I didn't use my warping stick and warp straight onto the loom. I actually used my self-striping warping board, which you can just see down there, to wind my warp. So, and then I put it on my loom. I will have to say that is a little different to usual because I found it harder to get my tension correct. At least the tension was pretty good at the beginning. I had no problems, but then when I got towards the end of my warp, it started getting a little bit loose, and yeah, it was kind of variable with the tension across my warp. So I'm not quite sure what really to do. I'm thinking probably the easiest thing, because I did prefer that method of warping. It was a lot easier than trying to have a massive long distance in my house, because I have a small house, to find a long distance to be able to warp it. So it was much easier doing it on my warping board. So I'm thinking possibly I have seen that people use like little, like little S hooks that you can get, little metal S hooks to hook them on the problem threads on their warp, just to weigh them down at the back so that they stay taut in your working area. So that's possibly something that I will need to look into going forward, because that, like I say, that is my preferred warping method. So I probably really need to look into a way to alleviate the uneven warp if I come across it while I'm weaving. So, but yes, this is done. I'm really quite happy to have this off, because it means that I can rewarp my loom and make some more bag fabric, so I can get some other project bags, hand-woven project wet bags in my shop. And I'm looking forward to giving this to Jackie. And now I just need to figure out how to use my tassel twisty thing. I've seen it done, it looks easy, but you know, it's always the thing when you see someone else do it. It sometimes looks easy, and then when you try, not so much. So that's my next thing I need to tackle. So the last thing I need to show you is my no frills sweater, and unfortunately, because I've just added new balls of yarn to it, this is going to be quite tricky. I'm not sure how I'm going to manage it. And they fell off my lap and they're now on the floor, so maybe that will help. So yeah, I finished my body. Now, which is the front and which is the back? This is the front. So I finished the body of my sweater. So I have knit down and I've put my ribbing on. I remember I said last week that I was unsure how far I was supposed to be knitting down. And yeah, I basically just fudged the body, honestly, because by the time because I was just knitting on it, we were watching a movie and I was just knitting round and round and round on the body and having a fun old time just continuing round. And then I realised, oh shoot, I should be measuring this, because I don't know what I've knit. I don't know how long of the body I have knit. And I measured it, and I think I said I was supposed to be 49 centimetres down. I was 53, I believe. And then I had to do a decrease round in stockinette, so that's another round on top of that 53 centimetres. Then I did my ribbing, and basically I knit the ribbing at the bottom until I ran out of yarn. So one of the balls, because I did the short rows with just one ball of yarn, that one obviously got used up more than the other, so that one stopped before the second one, and then I just kept knitting with the second one until I couldn't knit anymore, and then I bound off. And so starting my sleeve now, I have got that there on a 16-inch needle for the moment. I think I'm going to have to start doing magic loop shortly. I think my skeins actually are working out quite similar, which is good, because in the ball they look a lot different than the first two. But yeah, I'm knitting my sleeve, and I'm about 4 inches or so down from the underarm. And yeah, I'm still loving this. I am already thinking about what my second one might be. I'm thinking I might do something like my sparkling cider hats and knit it out of my glitzy base. So I have the glitz with the gold stellina and the mohair in my next one, I'm thinking. And I haven't decided what colourway, but I'm thinking something speckly again. This is like a bit of a painterly / speckled colourway, because the purple and the burgundy are more of a bigger splash, and then it's got black and brown speckles on it as well. So I'm thinking I might do something that's a little bit more speckly. I don't know whether I'll continue with the cream base with the speckle on top, or whether I'll dye the base one colour and add speckle. I haven't decided at all yet. Possibly even I might use one of my newer colourways, Fletcher, which is like a black and grey with some speckles, possibly that one, but I haven't decided, but I'm thinking about it. I definitely know I want to knit another one, so yeah, it's just a matter of figuring out what colourway I want to use. But yeah, I'm super happy with it. I love the colourway still, and yeah, I'm really, really, really looking forward to wearing this when the weather gets cold again, which is probably going to be a very, very long time, but at least I know it's there and I can look forward to it. And that's the entirety of the crafting this week. That's all she wrote. So I guess, what have we done this week? It was a long weekend. It was Australia Day in Australia, which is a very, very contentious time, and rightly so. I don't really want to get into that because I don't like to get political on here. I like to keep things light. But it has got to do with the Indigenous peoples of Australia, and Australia Day kind of is more of a big reminder of when their country was invaded, so it's not a nice time for them, and so it's a bit of a contentious day. But anyway, we had a long weekend because of it. We had a public holiday Monday. Simon and I basically kept it pretty quiet. It was warm again. What did we even do? I'm all thrown out because Simon actually took yesterday off work as well, which has completely thrown me out. So not only did I have a long weekend, I also had Simon home yesterday. But if you recall from last week, I was talking about some different stuff because I didn't have much crafting to talk about, and this week I have picked some recipes from the Pick Up Limes blog, and so I'm trying some different whole foods, which has been fun, and yeah, so I've tried a few things. I've made some of my own hummus, which actually turned out really well because I don't like hummus. Store-bought hummus, I don't like it. I don't like the texture. I don't like the flavour. Simon quite likes hummus, but I do not. And but I made Sadia's recipe, and it is lovely. It was caramelised onion and balsamic hummus. So I basically created it from scratch. I had some dry chickpeas in my pantry, so I soaked those overnight, gave them a couple of rinses to get rid of all of the gassy compounds that they have on them, and basically cooked those up yesterday morning, and cooked up some onions and popped them all in the blender and made a really lovely hummus. And there's still plenty of it left. We used it in our dinner last night, and there's plenty left as well, so I'm super excited to get my hands on that. And I also made a black and green olive tapenade, which was really yum. It had sun-dried tomatoes and capers and basil and oregano and olive oil and all sorts in there, and that was really yummy. That was on our dinner last night. Last night's dinner was actually really, really nice. It was, what was it called? They're supposed to have tofu in them, but I subbed that out because Simon's allergic to soy. I subbed that out for halloumi. And they were basically like a sandwich with halloumi. They had some cooked up veggies. There was some onion, capsicum and mushrooms, and the halloumi, bit of tomato, bit of spinach, the hummus and the tapenade, and it was so nice. It was so yummy. It was so messy, because I think next time instead of dicing the cooked vegetables, I'll slice them so that they sit and there's actually something to keep them in the roll, because we found that there was just all these little diced pieces of vegetables just flying out everywhere. So that made it hard to eat, but it was delicious. It was so good. So I'm really been very pleased with the recipes that I have tried from Sadia's website. So I've got some for the rest of the week as well, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, I think that is about it. Yeah, nothing else fun has happened. Just chilling. I'm playing a bit of hooky this week. I haven't done a lot for Lovebird Lane shop, so I'm unsure whether I'll have a shop update next week. We'll have to wait and see. But I am hoping to possibly warp my loom again today, although no promises, because today is a bit of a big day. I mowed the lawns this morning, I'm podcasting now, and I promised Granger that I would take him to the dog park later on. So, and then we've got to go out to the shops tonight because Simon needs some new work boots. So yeah, today's going to be a full one. So I best get on. I hope you all have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you love the hair. If you don't, let me know down below. And or don't, because I might say something not nice. And anyway, keep an eye out for that new channel. I will put a link in the description. All the show notes are in the description. So until I see you again, which is next week because I committed to that, have a fantastic week, happy crafting, and take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye.